Hey, good morning, guys. Say, if you're having trouble getting the clutch cover of your Husqvarna chainsaw off, or if you're just interested in how the safety brake and the clutch works in a modern chainsaw, then this video is for you.
The safety brake is designed to freeze the chain if the operator loses control of the saw. The most common and dangerous way that happens is with a kickback, when the saw makes contact with a branch like this. The saw jerks violently up and back, rocking into the operator's upper arm and forehead. So the brake handle, this is it here, is designed to make first contact with the operator's knuckles, snapping the handle forward and activating the brake.
With engine off, you can easily see if the brake is working by trying to move the chain with the brake engaged. Just remember to wear gloves and never do this with the engine running. How does the safety brake and clutch work?
Okay, now I want you to look at these two lines here. This one right here on the orange plastic, and this second one on the dark plastic. Now this safety brake has been pushed forward and tripped, and so these two lines don't match up. You've got to reset the safety brake like this, and the two lines line up. Now the reason that's important is to take this cover off, the plastic bar has to be in this position. If it's not in this position, there's no way you're getting it off. And so if you have it halfway off, put it back on, push the safety brake back on, and get these lined up. That way it's going to come off easily. So if you look at it here, there are two screws. The first is a flat blade screw for adjusting the blade tension, and the second is this nut, which is a 13mm nut. Now, to adjust the tension on the chain, you first undo this so it's relaxed, then you tighten or loosen the blade tension, then you retighten this. We're going to take it right off, so we don't need to do anything with the tightener. So let's take this off. And you notice that my brake is set in the run position, and within the run position it comes right off like that. Now, look closely at how this works. This is the cover, and I want to direct your attention to two things. The first is, this is the chain tensioner, and this is the front and this is the back. And when the chain tensioner is pushed forward, it pushes the bar forward and tightens the chain, and when it's loosened, it pushes back this way. But the real reason I'm showing this in detail is to show you the details of how the safety brake works. This is in the run position with the safety brake not engaged. And you can see that little bump there is straight up and down, or maybe just a little bit forward. That's not engaged. There's a piston in here that either tightens or relaxes this band. And this band is now in the loose position where it's nice and big, and it won't grab onto the part of the clutch that we'll see in a minute. Let me show you what it looks like when the safety brake is engaged. To engage and disengage that three-pronged screw, you need a special tool to do it. But there is such a special tool mounted right on your chainsaw. It's right here. So I'm going to take this off. This is a T25 Torx. There's one on each side. We're going to take that screw off, and we'll use that as a special tool to engage and disengage the safety brake. Okay, now here's our special tool, and we'll just slide this handle in here like this. Now, at the moment, we're in the run position with these two lines lining up like I showed before, and we got a nice big gap here. But watch what happens when I snap the brake forward. This will snap to here, but also have a look at this band. The band tightens down, so let's do that. It takes a fair amount of force. There. You see how much tighter it is here? That's the mechanism by which the chainsaw freezes the chain so you don't cut your arm off. Look also, I'll show you here, you can see where this prong is. This one was pointed straight up and down before, and now it's pointed to the front. So you should be able to easily tell whether or not the brake is engaged or not engaged. To get this thing back on, you're going to have to spring that back. Now it takes a fair amount of force when you put this tool in. It takes a fair amount of pressure to snap it back into place. I'll see if I can do this here. Remember, this is plastic, so you don't want to break it. Okay, you can do this without a vise, but it's just a bit easier with it in the vise, and I don't want to break anything, and this is all made of plastic, so it'd be easy to break it. So here's my special tool. I'll slide that into there, and I need to tilt the handle backwards. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to just tip that back. There, you see that? And so now we're in the run position. We can easily put this cover back onto the chainsaw. So now let me show you how this all works. This is really interesting. This outer band drives the chain in this direction, and there's a little sprocket in the back that you can't see that's driving that chain. And so whenever this turns, the chain is turning. And the inside, this thing here, is driven by the engine. And you can feel it as it goes through its compression cycle. So if the engine is seized, this thing won't turn. And so this is the clutch right here, and it's a centrifugal force clutch. So these two weights will slide outward and contact this drum when the RPMs are high enough. But when the RPMs are low, the centrifugal force is negated, the springs pull it back, and the engine can idle without turning the saw. And that's pretty important when you think about it. You don't want the saw blade turning when you're not using the saw. When you're just idling, you want those blades to be motionless so that you have a lower chance of cutting yourself.
That raises an interesting design feature. Husqvarna made their chainsaws to be started with the brake engaged. The low RPM when you pull a cord is not high enough to interfere with initial torque. But just after it starts, there's normally an initial RPM surge, which would otherwise turn the chain. These units are designed to drop RPM down to idle after the operator gives the throttle a quick squeeze. If you start with the brake engaged, it's safer, and any wear on the brake mechanism is minimal if you release the brake after starting.
So with the chain and the cover off, it's an ideal opportunity to look at the rest of the features. Have a look at this piece of metal here. This is a safety device designed so that if the chain breaks, the chain wraps itself around here rather than around your leg. I think you'll agree that's a good thing. Now you notice it's really clean here, and the reason is that I used compressed air to get rid of all of the sawdust. And the sawdust is a big enemy for you here because it interferes with oil delivery. This is the bar oil delivery hole right here, that little tiny hole. And it delivers oil to a matching hole behind the bar. I'll show you that right there, that little hole right there. And that hole delivers oil to the bar and the chain. And so you need to clean that out of sawdust to make sure that it's unimpaired. You notice there's one on each side, which allows you to flip the bar over and use it intermittently on the top and the bottom so you get equal usage of the bar as time goes by. There's a similar little hole in the front sprocket that you want to keep clear of sawdust. So now we're in a position to understand how all this works. When the safety brake is activated, those bands that we saw in the inner cover squeeze down on this and prevent the chain from moving. Now the last point I want to make is that this little hole here is in effect a grease nipple. You're supposed to grease that intermittently with bearing grease to grease the clutch bearings inside. If you need to take this off, one thing worth noting is that these are left-hand threads, and there's a special tool you use, and you put that tool in here and you turn the device clockwise. We don't need to do that today. So if this video helped you out and you want to see more of them, hit like or subscribe or leave a comment. I'd love to hear what others say. Thanks for watching.